When it comes to hair color, what is a better choice? The natural hair colors or the chemical hair colors? When we are at a point in time where gray coverage is not an issue, we're just looking at glamorizing the length of our hair or maybe just getting a streak done, there is the choice of getting fashion colors done. Fashion colors you can do in any shade that you want. You can do red, blues, greens, anything. If you want to be a little more on the conservative side, you could just stick with the auburns and the burgundies because those go the best with the Indian skin tone. A warmer skin tone can also hold the browns very well, the darker browns, the little lighter browns. But if you're very light skin toned, then the caramels, toffee, the chestnuts and the cinnamons go much better. What I have with me is a caramel balayage. In the types of color that we're going to choose, there are multiple options. You could of course choose the balayage, which generally is colored in such a way that the highlights catch the light very well. And so my hair actually looks the best when there's good light falling on it. You could also choose the ombre. Ombre nowadays is not in fashion, but it's a great color choice when you are a little worried about the quality of your hair or how the color is going to go. In ombre, you only get the ends done. Though you could choose this as your end, you could choose this as your end. It depends on how experimentative you are. The good thing about ombre is that as your hair grows or you get bored of hair color, you can just chop off the end and you're done with it. You could also choose streaks. In streaks, they kind of weave in and take small sections of your hair, and these are highlighted. These go very well when your hair is in layers or when it's very dense and voluminous. They just fall very well. You can also choose highlights. In highlights, generally when you have very dark hair, they will take a larger section of your hair and color it auburn, the cinnamon red, or will make it that auburn red or a caramelish red. It's a combination. You can choose any color that you want, especially when looking at highlights, provided that color blends in well with your hair. So depending on what your natural hair color is, you can pick a number of shades of between reds to browns or darker browns. You can also get your hair colored naturally by using just the henna powder. And I have used henna when I was in college and I just love my hair. We can do multiple things to intensify the henna color. You can add katha, which is available at a pan's shop. At least in my time, it used to be available only at the paniyaris. I don't know if it's available now anywhere in the departmental store. You make a tea decoction water like this one. You can also add coffee in it to intensify the color. What I realized was when I used this particular product called the Atar Ayurveda, the natural powder, I didn't add anything in it. The henna color was brilliant. And as you can see here, it came out really beautifully. My daughter's hair is jet black, but the lights that came were really nice. So you could also experiment with this. Now, progressing from fashion colors, if you're looking at gray coverage, this is where it gets a little dicey. Now, as long as we have about 35 to 40% of gray roots, it's completely fine. You can do henna and it will still give you this nice reddish, orangish color, and it blends in very well. It's in my experience when the hair roots become like 50% se upar ho jate hain, then it looks more orange than one may like it or one may prefer it, and that's when we start considering hair root coverage. Now, hair root coverage is the easiest to do by using chemical colors. We can use the one from Garnier, there's L'Oreal, there's Vela. My personal favorite is the one from B Blunt called the Salon Secret. This is not a sponsored video. The B Blunt is my favorite salon. And I really like this particular color. It's got chocolate dark brown. That's the color that I use. And during lockdown, this was a savior. This costs you between 400 rupees and it's very simple. You part your hair, you go in, you keep it for about, I think, 30-35 minutes and you wash off and you're done. It's incredibly important to make sure that you're keeping your hair within the 30 minutes. Keeping it longer will over-process your hair and make it more wiry, more frizzy, and definitely more prone to breakage. So timing becomes very critical in chemical colors. Even in this, you could pick the shade range that we discussed earlier. If you're a lighter color, you can go for lighter browns, you can go for more caramels, more toffees. But if you're darker, go in for deeper reds. But in the end, it depends on how your roots are. If your roots don't take color very easily, it gets hard to take on the lighter colors. This particular color called the dark chocolate brown goes very beautifully on my gray hair. I went premature grey and I'm almost 65 to 70% grey, so it works very, very well for me. This particular color requires refresh about 2.5 to 3 weeks. Now what happens is not that the color fades, your roots grow out. That's the white that we see on our hair roots. Depending on how your hair growth is, you'll require to color it. A lot of people wait for about an inch of roots to show and then they color it. I go in every 2.5 to 3 weeks because I don't like the whites showing. And yeah, I go to a salon, so it's quite an expensive decision to do that, because every salon visit will cost you about 2.5 to 2,800, whereas when you do this at home, it costs you about 400 rupees. But there's an issue of applying it, and when you're doing hair roots, it's so important to make sure you're depositing it right at the roots, because if you don't do that, you won't get good coverage. And that is the problem that I faced by using the natural hair color. I've done an extended video on it. It's going to be in the description box to have a look. In natural hair color, you can use henna and you can use equal portion of indigo into it. This is also from the same brand. It's called Atar Ayurveda, and the indigo powder and henna in equal quantity, and it gives you a nice dark brown shade. The problem is the technique of depositing it into the hair roots, because the hair color, your roots need to be kind of swimming in a lot of this color for them to take the color onto it. So that takes a little bit of time. Plus also doing it on your behind is an issue. So you definitely require help to do it, because you can't do it. The thing with this is, even if you apply it right down your hair roots, it will still give you coverage. But the natural hair color has to be deposited. So that takes somebody helping you. So if you use half and half of this and apply it on your hair, leave it for about 45 minutes to an hour, wash it off. You can't use shampoo, no conditioner, just water wash. And after a day or two, you can wash it. Your color will remain for at least 15-20 days. Again, it depends on how fast your hair roots grow, but utna din rehta hai. And that'll give you a nice dark brown. If you want intense jet black, then what you can do is on day one, use equal combination of both of these. And on the second day, use just the indigo powder. Take how much ever you require to cover your roots and add about a juice of lemon to it. It's not required that you add too much of juice also. So what I did was I took about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of the indigo powder, and I took a juice of half a lemon, and it was enough for my roots completely. Keep it again for about 45 minutes to 55 minutes. Just wash it off with water, no shampoo, no conditioner, and you get this intense jet black. I did this and you can see the live results. It stayed for the next 15 days, which was very impressive, because so does my chemical color. So it's very nice. The problem is that usko apply karna hai. So that brings us to the question of what is a better choice. It's very hard to decide, because both of them have their own pros and cons, and jitna mere paas aaya maine ko list to kara hai. Let us see what they are. Now, if you're going natural, it's definitely a safer choice. You have less medical complications. It's cheaper for sure. You're going to have very less chances of reaction to it. So it's a much safer choice. But the only thing is you require someone to apply it for you. In terms of cons, it can be very, very drying to use henna or indigo on your hair. So you have to make sure that you're oiling your hair at least twice a week, if not more, and that your shampoos and conditioners are very moisturizing and hydrating. You cannot take hot water baths, because hot water baths will also dry up your hair a lot. When it comes to chemical colors, the cons are a lot. It is a medical, health hazard to take this, because it's loaded with chemicals. Though I know that my mom's been using chemical colors now for, I don't know, my mom is like 80, and touch wood, she's fine. So a lot of the advanced colors and techniques are very, very good and very safe, but there is always an issue. So, it's definitely not as safe as the natural colors are. Then there is the fact that they're extremely expensive. If you're going to use this, is $400 a month, whereas, the natural colors, this both costed me $400, and they will easily last a year for me. So there's a cost advantage definitely with the natural as compared to the chemical. Then there's an issue of the technician also, because if the technician is not good, your hair color will not come out nicely. Your hair will become very brittle and after some time get wiry, and especially for fashion colors, there will be so much of damage when you're getting it done from somebody who's not, trained properly, doesn't have enough practice, that's going to ruin your hair completely. So good technicians do cost a lot of money, but it's worth investing, especially when you're getting this kind of color done, because this will last you for a year and a half. The biggest thing with chemical colors is the more you use them, after a few years, you tend to get less tolerant of it. You know, your scalp itching increases, scalp dryness increases. So that's an ongoing thing that might happen. After some time, you just kind of get used to it. I know, I just kind of take it because, you know, there's no other way that for me to color my hair at present. So that's an issue. The pros are for sure that it's a very predictable thing. If you're using the right color, you'll get the right results, and you know, you'll go to the salon, someone will do it for you, you are done with it. Even if you do it at home, just touching it at the back will give you enough coverage, doesn't require too much of technique in applying it, and you know, the products are fairly safe nowadays. Itni problem hai nahi actually. So for me, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. I know that every 2.5 weeks I have to color it, and you know, it's done. The natural colors though take so much of time. You know, it's a thing to put it first, and then you sit for about 45-50 minutes, and then washing it is a pain, and you know, then of course you smell of that natural herby smell, which I don't like, but you know, it's a choice. Now let's discuss aftercare. Aftercare, when you're using natural color, is very easy. You just have to make sure that your hair doesn't dry up. So you're doing your oiling, using the right moisturizer, conditioner, and you're not using hot water. But when you have professionally chemical colored hair, whether it's your hair roots or whether it's your hair length, then aftercare becomes a big thing, and it's very important to make sure your hair doesn't break, because when they deposit this color on your hair, they have to open up the keratin, the cuticle, and then deposit their color. It does cause some damage to your hair. So it's very important to continue to use Olaplex number 3, because that helps build the bond and keep the hair healthy. You can apply it at home. You might also have to look at number 6, because this is again a bond smoother, and it's incredibly important for colored hair. In fact, I think my hair, despite having been colored so much, remains so good and very healthy is because of Olaplex. These are very scientific products, have to be part of your hair care. So the cost of chemically colored hair does pile up. You also have to make sure that you're using the right serums, because you need the silicone coating on your hair, because your hair is not as strong, you know, so it requires that extra help to make sure the moisture and the hydration is retained. After my recent experiment of using the natural hair colors, I used both henna and indigo to get this brown. This is, I think, almost like the 16th, 17th day of applying it, and you can see the gray coverage is still very good. I'm definitely leaning towards natural colors, but I don't know, because I just find the whole process of going to a salon, getting the hair color done just so much easier. But I'm still divided between the two of them. Let me know what your experience is, and for more, I'm going to meet you in the comment section.